show. Always Irish show. Always Irish show. Sometimes it's good to just yell about football. What are you doing? Don't do this to me, Harry! The Ohio State. It's Ohio State! What do you mean, the? It's a poison! I almost stroked out and died over it. I'm glad to be at the party. I'm mad we're this late. You ain't a captain of nothing but a sinking ship! That helps the defense without them even doing a damn thing! Doing a damn thing! The call-in line. 312-988-15. You tell Johnny all you've heard and seen. No Irish. No Irish. No Irish. No Irish. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Guess what? Spring is in the air. I'm glad football's back. I'm going to hate it when spring ball ends and then we don't have diddly poo for football till August. I'm just glad football's back, just even for a little bit, even though the scheduling's kind of weird. People were talking about it in the chat. I was looking it up last night. Do they start for a day and then we have spring break and then they're gone and then they all come back? It's a little weird. I don't care. I'm just glad to have football back. And I want to know from you guys as we get into this. I want to know what you're looking at. I want to know what you're confident in. I want to know what you're worried about. I want to know when you see the clips that are going to come out from spring ball. I want to know what you're zoning in on, what your focus is. I want to know what you feel needs to take a big jump. What are you confident will take a big jump? What can these young guys do? There's a lot to go over, and I want to keep it open. Can we talk about the QB battle, bro? We can for second string, right? That's what that means, right? When we talk about the QB battle, that's what that means, right? Because that's what the battle's going to be between Kenny and Stevie for the backup spot, right? I hope that's what people mean. We're not doing this whole thing again we did last year. We're not doing that with Buckner, Hartman, and all that. We're not doing that. If you want to talk about the backup thing, I think it's really, really interesting. Super interesting. And they got to get it right because I'm not sure what happens with whoever loses that backup job. That's part of what we're going to talk about, too. It's a part of what we're talking, the Ohio podcast. John, your victory chain looks a little small. Should I send you my Buckeye victory chain? That thing looked like it weighed 46 pounds in true Ohio State fashion. It's overdone, thinks more of itself than it does on the field. That's the problem with your victory chain. You couldn't even drive in a car wearing that thing. It takes up the whole front seat. Too big. Or maybe I'm just too small. I don't know. Yeah, Ohio, I appreciate you being here. Ohio says, this is the last show I'm going to be able to reach for a while because then I'm going on the road for work. And then I responded with, where are your priorities? Talking about spring college football is definitely more important than work. Eric, get your priorities straight. Is your boy Goolsby okay? He keeps asking why Kenny. He's a big Kenny fan, and he's on a mission to make sure our boy Kenny gets a fair shake here. And he's making sure he puts in the ether that people are doing a disservice to Kenny just because they haven't seen him as much, not talking about him and not thinking about him being a part of this battle. Another thing I want to bring up with this that Goolsby points out. We got some callers. I want to hear from you guys. Give it to you. Let you talk about what you're interested in this spring. I'll go right to the phones. As I have some notes too, and some of our episodes coming up are going to be about the standalone episodes are going to be about specific spring stuff. I don't want to spoil all my stuff. I might go to the callers first to be able to see where they're at on their priorities, what they're looking at. So I don't know. Goolsby also brings up the personality stuff. With Kenny being more of a quiet, calm leader and all that, how does that play out in a room where you're trying to position yourself? You're trying to establish yourself in that. Does that personality part play into it? And if you're a quiet, more reserved guy, is it harder for you to kind of plant your flag? I don't know, but those are all things that my partner on Patreon brings up. All right, let's get into it. And I got a bunch of callers already. People want to talk about spring. I'm going to let you do that right away. Let's get through the introduction. If we have, let's see how long we go today, what the timing's like. I have a couple things I need to do. We might do something fun here. I think it'd be fun. Totally off the grid, out of nowhere, off the top of my mind. I just think you guys would find it interesting, given some of my recent issues. And you'll know what I mean. If we have time, we'll get to it. I got something fun planned. I don't know when we're going to do it. It'd be fun for me anyways. So let's do the introductions, the chat, the super chat, and the early comments. Then we'll go to your calls. I want to know anything about spring. Speaking of spring ball priorities, health, development, position battles, scheme changes. What do your priorities look like? Yeah, health, obviously, number one. I almost don't even want to mention it because it's that big of a number one. And then, man, for Notre Dame, one of the biggest questions to me is, here's the thing. We always get this question. I didn't even get through the introduction, and the phone lines are starting to build up. Whenever we talk about how do you gonna sing the Doobie Brothers? I know. You guys, I'm sorry. I didn't want to do that. I'm not even proud of that. I'll be honest with you. Now that multiple people have brought it up, I'm not even that proud of that reaction. It's not a mature reaction for what I put out, freaking out about Hartman and all that. It's not a mature reaction. And I know that. But you know how I operate here, man. Whatever I think and feel comes out. And before I realize it, it's out. That's like my promise to you. And what that means is sometimes I act a fool and look like an idiot. I know that. But that's the spirit of this show, is just letting it rip. And that's what I want to do, is just you get whatever I'm thinking and feeling live. I'm not proud that I had that big freak out about Hartman and everything, but I just lost my mind because it needs to be about how good our quarterback is at football, not how good his hair is. And I couldn't take any more. I couldn't take any more, you guys. I get it that it's cute and it's our guy and it's a storyline on Twitter and it's a big, and everybody likes good-looking people, male and female. I understand all that. And I have nothing against Sam Hartman. I wish him nothing but the best as the next Bachelor on ABC. Bro, it just needs to be more about the football here. And I just felt a need to redirect people to the prize. And it ain't your beard, and it ain't Michael McDonald on the keyboard. You don't know me, but I'm your brother. It can't be about that anymore. It can't be about that anymore. And I just need to make sure everybody knew that. It was just getting a little too slap happy about stuff that doesn't matter. Talking about, oh, who's going to be the number 1 and 2 quarterback gone? And I'm talking about our guy's hair. Anyways. Right. All right. The call bank is filling up, and I want to give you guys a shot. There's a decent amount of callers. And so we're going to try and move through them because I want to give everybody a chance. I got to do my super chats and the early chats. I promise we'll go to the phone line. Andrew Gilmore, $5 holler. Thank you, Andrew. Started to worry about you. I didn't see you for a couple days, Andrew. I was worried. I got a couple messages. Where's Andrew at? We were going to send a search party out for you. I'm glad to see you. $5 holler. Will Freeman get an extension in 24? I think it would be probably after 24. That's, I think, that period you're talking about after 24. And Jack, when Jack did his going away interview last week, and he called people out that report on Notre Dame for their basements specifically. When he did that, when Jack was doing his thing, mad at people that report about Notre Dame from their basements, enough that he mentioned it specifically. When he was doing that, a part of the discussion was that he thinks, and the plan is to visit this right after the year ends. He said, Pete, and the plan is for them to revisit that extension thing after this year. So, Andrew, you want to know in 2024, I think it'd be likely in 24, but after the season, or after the season of 24, I should say. I realize the calendar changes. That's what I think. And here's my justification for it. You could go 10-2 in the regular season, which would frustrate us. And to them, that's progress. That would be each year progress. You don't want to hear that. Notre Dame fans don't want to hear that. That's my argument for this happening is you could legitimately have a disappointing season to the fan base at 10-2. And then the admin could look at it and go, well, let's consult the record sheet here. Each year we get better by a game. That's trending in the right way. Everybody likes Freeman. He's a good guy. There's no off the field issues or anything. That's what I could see happening. Also, man, I just think Freeman, he's still bought into the Notre Dame thing. And I think Freeman could probably feel they're starting to give him a little help. And everybody does better at work and feels good about their work situation if you feel like you're properly supported. So that's kind of how I see that. Really good question. But even if you went 10-2 and it would disappoint us, but would work. You know what I mean? Like, that's how they'll see it. Eric with the $20 holler. That's my lawyer in Michigan. Thank you, sir. I miss you. Good to see you around. Tom Chris, $20 holler. I can't wait to see you guys too. I met these guys at the NIL autograph signing. They were there with Pete, who's the guy I recorded his house, his man cave. He has all the pictures and all the Notre Dame autographs. I met these guys there. Wonderfully nice people. And then they come to the tail, just the nicest Notre Dame people in the world. It's one of my favorite things about doing all this is the group of people we're building. And whenever we get together, everybody's cool. Everybody's nice. We have a great time. Everybody pitches in. That's honestly my favorite part about anything that's come out of all this I'm doing is meeting these people that are now all becoming my real life friends I talk to. Homer TD, Tony, good to see you, man. $10 holler. The last time I talked to Tony, he texted me a picture golfing, and there was a big gator by his golf ball in Florida. Hope you got all your arms and legs, Tony. I don't want to see you pull a Chubbs Peterson on us. I don't want to see you pull a Chubbs Peterson. I agree. No Freeman extension till we see the results on and off the field. Yeah, I just think you could go 10-2 and justify that it's still progress, even though we'd all be frustrated. It wouldn't. I'm just telling you that's a perfectly reasonable position. Thank you guys very much for the donations. Keep the phone lines going. I really appreciate it. Tom Frawley, good to see you here, buddy. Good to see you here, business partner. All right, introductions. As always, you can find the program on YouTube. Do it, subscribe if you haven't yet. Appreciate it very much. Get a video thumbs up. That helps Yanni Boy out as well. Notifications on it where you alerted every time a new episode drops. I know you don't want to miss it. Twitter. Search bar Always Irish. Rat Always Irish Inc. Emails alwaysirishnd@gmail.com. Audio only anywhere you want it. You can get it to Cowlin Lines. 312-900-8815. You dialed up. Tell Yanni Boy all you heard and seen. Instagram, Facebook, Always Irish Inc. Irish Wire, read all about it. Patreon.com/Always Irish. Former captain and myself, read all about it. You can't go wrong. T-Rex, this team loses 2 games next year. They're not winning any games in the playoff if they make it. I've been really thinking about that specific point because I've been arguing that overall, you're unlikely to see a college football scenario where a team with multiple losses at the bottom barely gets into the field, gets hot, turns it on, and wins it all. I think that's really unlikely in college football This ain't hockey. This isn't Major League where there's a big sample size. You could squeak in, get hot, and win. That's not how I see college football going. Usually the best teams early in the year, the best teams later in the year. That's like how it goes. So I don't think you're likely to see a champion emerge that has multiple losses and looked weak through the year and then turns it on. That's hard to do in college football. The good teams, usually the good teams. All right. We got a bunch of callers. Get to your points. I want to give everybody a chance. And anything with spring, and we'll see. I got a bunch of bullet points. We'll see where they match up. 612, Dr. John. What's going on, buddy?
Well, I don't have much for you today, John.
Why is that?
Well, I don't know. I couldn't come up with much.
You know why?
Maybe your content hasn't been stimulating enough the last couple of videos. I don't know.
No, you know what I think it is?
Just my aged brain cells.
No, I think what it is you're all worn out because you're trying to cover your tracks, with the tax type situation. And, you're all over the country trying to make sure everything's going to line up right when they look into it. And it's keeping you busy, man.
Yeah,
you got too many revenue streams to keep busy for the IRS, man. It's a lot of work to keep that all straight. I don't blame you.
My taxes are so simple. I've already done them. It took me an hour. That was it.
I don't know why they're on the hunt, man. I don't know why they're on the hunt.
I don't know. I'll tell you why they're after me. It's because all this crap you've been spewing along with the other AI people out there.
Yeah.
I've got a reputation I don't deserve.
Yeah, I think that's it, man. You're blowing up, man. You're big time. You're big time. So Dr. John, we're getting into spring finally. It's our last touch of real football till August. So it's a little bittersweet. I'm excited about it. What are a couple of the things that are on your list? What are you looking for? And I don't want you to think hard about this. I want to know what your initial reactions are of where your eyes are going to gravitate towards that you want to hear is looking good or coming together faster than we thought, or we have more players in this group than we thought that could contribute. Where does your mind go here? It's a big, big spring session, year 3.
My mind goes right to the quarterback room. I just wish I could be in that facility and see how they're going to actually run this competition, a real competition. Last year, and you kind of alluded to it, Hartman came in here as the anointed savior, and I don't know that they looked anywhere else. I hope that when this thing starts tomorrow, I think it's tomorrow it starts, that they're really looking at all 4 of these guys hard. I think that's the only way to really figure out who's going to be the leader.
And I don't know, how do you keep all those guys happy? Even in the spring, is there enough legitimate snaps for all 4 of those guys to get enough run to feel like they're really given a chance here? 1 and 2 guys make sense, but I think Carr will be kind of the left out man because the plan is for him to be a red shirt. That's a little different to me because that's the plan. But man, that backup thing, I think if Riley Leonard's healthy, he's going to be the quarterback. I just do, whether it's a competition or not. I think that's how it'll go. And then I don't know what happens with whoever doesn't think they're going to be the backup. I'm really intrigued. I don't know what's going to happen.
Well, I don't either, but let's visit Carr a little bit. I mean, Carr, it's not the simple, he just arrived on campus thing. Remember, he was, I don't know how many practice sessions he had before that bowl game, but he was there working out.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point.
He's not as far, he's closer to being up to speed than somebody who just showed up, after the mid-year break.
Yeah. Nope, you're right about that. Dr. John, what about the O-line? Are you looking at that O-line? Both tackles are gone. You're trying to figure out the right combination inside. You have a big game week 1, not a lot of time to ease into this project. Are you looking at that?
I know you worry about that a lot.
I know,
but I don't know. I think we've got the bodies there to do this. I mean, I'm not as big a student as some of your callers are, but they've got some pretty good young guys that are going to go into that offensive line. So I guess I'm not worried about it.
yeah, and
of course, that first game is going to tell the tale anyway.
It is, and I want to give these guys some credit. I know it was against a depleted team in the bowl game, and they were in a bad way, and I understand that. But I did think that they played better as a unit put together at the last minute for the bowl game than I expected. I give them credit, and I realized before people put in the chat how bad the team we were playing is. I understand that. I thought they held their own pretty good in the bowl game, better than what I was expecting.
Well, I did too. I mean, both teams were depleted, let's face it.
Yeah.
I mean, neither Alter Fisher was in that game, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. Yeah. You're right.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
yeah. And
okay, they both got down a notch, and we look pretty good.
Yeah, that does encourage me. That does give me some hope here. In the wide receivers, Dr. John, where are you at with that group that it feels like are an issue all the time for us?
Well, and it is, and God, I look at the guys that left. If especially oh gosh, what was it? Who's the young guy from California that left?
Who? Merriweather?
Rico.
Oh, Rico Flores. Yeah, we had Rico left. Merriweather left.
That bothered me.
There was really no reason for Rico to leave. He was in the mix. He was in the mix. Yeah. He was not in the position Merriweather was in. He was getting playing time. That was a little weird. I don't know. And then
I didn't understand that.
And then Dr. John, pull away and let's look at it a little bigger. What do you think you're going to be able to see in the spring from Mike Denbrock? That's a big question I have, is how different are things going to look and how obvious is it going to be to us in terms of structure and what we get to see or not? I've been asking myself that, how obvious it's going to be that things are different with Denbrock here. I don't know what to make of that. I'm interested to see if I could notice clear differences, but I just don't know how many I will. I don't know.
That's another reason I'd like to be in that facility and just see. And if I had some video, say from last spring, just to see how things are going to be different.
Yeah.
God, you know, he's I don't know how much pressure he feels, but if I recall, isn't his contract about the biggest salary we've ever paid an assistant?
I mean, is
that something I read?
It wouldn't surprise me. That's top-notch SEC money we paid. This was not a Notre Dame break. This was not a Notre Dame hometown discount. This was big boy ponying up, doing it the right way, and supporting your young coach appropriately. I love it, and I'm here for it.
Well, when you got these two guys at the top of the coordinator ladder, and then you've got a fairly soft schedule. I mean, I think we have to admit that. I tell you what, I can't see us losing more than one game if we lose that.
I'm targeting 11-1. I'm targeting 11-1. Like, I don't think it's like a totally weak, lame schedule. But what I do think is it's spaced out much more favorably. You have some brand name helmets on there, but they're spaced out in a way that I think helps Notre Dame in a way that it wasn't last year. You don't have 8 straight weeks with no breaks. The bigger games are kind of spread out with the few in between. I like the flow of this schedule is much more favorable for Notre Dame. And if they get off week 1 with a win, the sky's the limit on what this could be. I hate being a drama queen, John, but that week 1 is just the ultimate dictating era of all this. It's a big moment.
It is. It is. Here's your nightmare scenario. If you firmly believe it's an 11-1 season, and we go out to Southern Cal at 11-0, you're going to be tearing what hair you got left out, aren't you? You're convinced that we're going to lose that game.
Well, now wait a second. If you're saying that we're heading out there 11-0, well, wait. If we're heading out there at 11-0, are we going to be that stressed? Because even if you leave, you're going to be in the playoff. Even if you lose, you're going to be in the playoff, and you're not eligible for a bye anyways. Are we sure that's going to be a huge deal? If you're, because you can lose it and be in the playoff and probably host a playoff game anyways. This is all changing. It's messing my world up. But of course, I'm going to be a wreck. But you know what I'm saying? I'm saying that like the stakes won't be the same.
Yeah, I know that. But if you're convinced we're going to be 11-1 and we go out there 11-0. And I know
that
how
can't
you
be
hate
the one.
To lose to those
that
guys.
Can't be the one. That can't be the one.
The wall.
If it's 11-1, that can't be the one, man. To have all the surfers hang 10, catch a wave, decide to come to the ball game. I don't like it, man. Dr. John, thanks for giving me the call, man. You got anything else? I appreciate you. You're my Wednesday caller. I can always count on you.
Well, I like to just hear your voice on the phone, and then I'll check in. I got you on the big TV this morning.
Oh, so, man, that's terrifying. That's scary, but I appreciate it.
In fact, I got my March super chat will be coming your way here shortly. I want you to figure out the numbers for me.
Oh,
okay?
boy. Yeah, I like those little equations. Thank you, my friend. Have a good one.
I'll give you a clue. I'll give you a clue in the chat, though. Okay.
All right. I'll think about that. I like your little
Irish.
I like your Irish mind
have
games.
A great show. We'll talk to you next week.
Beautiful. Take care, my friend. And then we'll see you soon. I think he's bringing some of the family to the blue and gold tailgate. 11-1. Yeah, a lot of people are mentioning my Purdue thing. This is the This would happen to us. Follow me here. Sunday night, I joined the Ohio podcast, and it's a lot of Big Ten talk, right? And one of the guest hosts there asked me, you know, what do you guys think about Purdue or whatever? And my reaction was, I don't. And like, it just came out. Purdue does not move my needle. It doesn't matter to me. It's right down the road. Like they're not in my purview of like top of mind. And I realize that sounds offensive, but I really do mean it. They're just like not, if you listed, oh, John, who are all the teams you hate or the fan bases you hate or the rivalries and who you want to beat the most and everything. Bro, I got to sit there for a long time before Purdue enters my mind. Like there's so much history between Notre Dame and so many other teams hate for all these serious reasons. I got to go wait on the list to get to Purdue. And I don't mean that as an offense. They don't offend me in the way everybody else offends me. Stop, you're jinxing us. I know. And then you could clip it up and then something dumb happens and then everybody could play that John overlooked Purdue. I'm setting myself up for a trap. But I got to be honest. Purdue does not register. They're not Michigan. They're not Miami. They're not Ohio State. They're not Kelly and LSU. They're not USC. Even within the Big Ten, I value Michigan State, the rivalry we had with Michigan State, way more than Purdue. Like, it's not an offense. It's just I have other people that I'm way more mad at all the time permanently before I get to Purdue on the radar. And then when it comes up on the schedule, I get mad about the big drum, and then that's it. And then we move on. But I want to be honest. Them being in Indiana is just like it just doesn't register to me. I don't care that I drive by on the toll road. It just doesn't register because our lives don't cross paths enough in football anymore for me to have that on the radar. I don't mean it as it being a jerk. Let's keep it moving. 419, you're on the line. I got a 469, another 419. I got a 773. You're all coming up. What's up, 419?
Hey, John, how you doing?
I'm doing very well, my friend. What's on your mind as spring football gets started?
Well, there's two position groups that are my main focus. The first one, obviously, you've talked about it a ton. Me and you have talked about it once or twice. It's that backup quarterback spot. I really feel like we got to get that one right.
Yeah, and a part of the reason isn't just for this year, but I don't know what happens with the guy who loses that battle in relationship to them in Notre Dame overall. So it isn't just about who's the backup this year. If Riley Leonard hurts his ankle, this guy's got to save the game for us. It's also about setting up the quarterback room for future years. And I'm worried whoever loses the backup role may take their services elsewhere. And therefore, you just got to make sure that you get this right and you have the proper evaluation and the right guy ends up with that role. That's what's on my mind with it.
Yeah, that is exactly what we have talked about before. But the other position group is the receivers and how much better they will be this year.
Exactly. Yeah. No, you're right.
Last year it was a struggle.
Adam Dowling put something great in the chat. He put, and he texted this to me yesterday, the wide receivers are a big question mark and a problem until they prove that they're not. And I really agree with that. That is a question mark until we see that they prove they can hang. Now, I'm going to say this. That group's going to be a lot better this year. I believe that. How much better, though? That's the question. With Denbrock, the offense, I'm convinced, is going to be better. How much better? Though a lot of my questions have to do with margins. You think it's going to be better? How much better? Like that kind of stuff. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I hope they are better. Like last year was a struggle with them. Really, at times it was painful to watch them try to get open.
It really was. And then here's the other thing with, can I ask you this about Riley Leonard? Let me ask you a Riley Leonard question. And I genuinely mean this. I feel this. I see this. I'm going to ask it to you. I don't feel like nearly as many people are talking about Riley Leonard the way we were about Sam Hartman in the exact same position 1 year ago to today. Do you believe that's the case too? I just do not see the same articles written, the same YouTube videos about how good, what could this be? I am not seeing the reaction to Riley Leonard that I saw with Sam Hartman. One is, have you experienced that too? And number two is, why do you think that is? I think it might be because people feel like they didn't get what they were hoping to get out of Hartman and they're resistant to buy in and give their whole Irish heart up again. Do you feel any of that, or am I just not seeing it talked about? I don't know.
Oh, yeah, it's not being talked about near as much. And I feel like what you said might be part of it, but I also feel like him coming in is kind of, I feel like it's kind of gotten a little overshadowed by Deuce committing a few months prior and him still, and everyone's still questioning if he's really committed or not. And then CJ Carr, we have these big name guys coming in, recruits, and I feel like it's kind of overshadowed that. And, well, with how the transfer portal was this year all around the country, I feel like all of that is really taking shine away from Notre Dame. So country-wise, that's it. But
interesting.
Notre Dame, I feel like it is with just us not getting the results we hope for.
Yeah. And then let me ask you this about the spring. And I really don't know. I don't know the answer to this either. It is year 3 for Marcus. You can no longer use the year 1, year 2. I'm new here. I'm just trying to keep my head above water and do what I can do, blah, 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 blah. What are the expectations of Freeman entering year 3? Everybody agrees he's got to be better and whatever, but how do you measure that? Obviously, having 11 guys out there for the biggest play of the season would be a good measuring stick, but a lot of this stuff isn't going to be visible to us. I don't know how to gauge that, But I feel that Freeman's got to tighten it up and be a lot better. I just don't know how I measure that.
John, I was at that game. You don't got to bring that up, man.
Oh, man. Bro, can I tell you that when I had my mental breakdown after Bush push, at least I was like 20 years old and I didn't really have life obligations and I could sulk and be a big baby and grieve and do all that as a 20-year-old. It's almost 20 years later. I'm pushing 40 and I am genuinely embarrassed to tell you how poorly I processed that football game. I am embarrassed to tell you how badly I handled it. And I'm not afraid to admit that. It was embarrassing. I didn't handle it well. It wasn't healthy. I was physically and emotionally miserable for a long time, and it sucked.
Oh, that was a long 3.5-hour ride home for me that night. I was right in Buckeye country, so I just knew after that I was just gonna hear it over and over, and I'm still hearing it. So yeah, that one was a tough one to lose.
Yeah,
that way.
Drunk, I don't know if you're talking to me or not. You're an embarrassment, bro. If that's directed towards me and my reaction, so be it. I'm always honest with you guys, and I handled that awfully. So whatever. I'm not afraid to be open with that.
Yeah, as for measuring Freeman's success with this schedule, I don't see that why we shouldn't go 12-0, but I will give leeway for one game.
Yeah,
so that's the way I see this improving.
Yeah, it's
we'll give him one game leeway, but
yeah, it's wild. I do believe that we're at the point with the schedule and everything where 10-2 is not going to cut it. I would even say, even if you made the playoff at 10-2, there's going to be some people in a bad mood about the 2. I really do think it's time to ramp it up. I just do. So I don't know, man. It's going to be a really, really big year. Do you have anything on defense? A lot of what we spoke about was offense and coaching. What are you looking at on the defensive side of the ball?
I mean, overall, I'm really happy with the defense, especially in the secondary. Maybe look at the D line, see if we can get more pressure.
Yep, that's on my list.
Maybe get more pass rush, but other than that, I was real happy with the defense last year, and we didn't lose a ton on that.
Now, what about, all right, here's one area that I think I'm looking at on this defense. The way I look at it is, yeah, you want to find more pass rush and push out of the front. That's something we need and we're looking for. But you feel pretty good overall about what you have up front and in the back with the linebackers. How do they set this up? How do they find roles for Snead? Can a guy like KVA get in there early and have a role? I want to know what their plan is going to be with those linebackers and finding roles for some of these younger athletic guys. I'm interested on that too. I want to see it.
Yeah, that will be interesting seeing that rotation, especially see how it starts in spring, and then once we finally get to August, see how they rotate that week 1.
Yeah.
Especially like KBA, I think he can make a splash early.
And it's a big deal. It's a big
in spring ball.
See, but that's why it's such a big deal he enrolled early. Think about that. It opens up this as an avenue, as an option that wouldn't exist if he didn't do that. The fact that he's in there early and we know he's so physically gifted, I genuinely want to know if they can find a role for him right away where you can't deny him the field because he's just so good. Play him. It's a beautiful place to be, and I hope we're in that problem.
Oh, I hope so too. I mean, I don't know if you've seen these comparisons, but I have actually seen those who went and watched him in high school compare him to Manti Te'o.
Yeah,
so
yeah. And
something like that.
You know what I'll never forget, man? I'll never forget this. I believe he played as a true freshman in his first game, and it was at home against Colin Kaepernick in Nevada. And I remember 2 different plays early coming over the middle and Manti absolutely blowing it up and sticking the guy. And I still remember it. And everybody was like, yep, that's going to be our leader for a bunch of years. And he really was. He really was.
Yeah, so if KVA really is going to be able to be somewhat close to Manti, we better get him on the field early and often because I do not want to see him transfer out for lack of playing time his freshman year.
Yeah, and he's a unique Notre Dame fit. Goolsby and I talked about this on the Patreon. A lot of those Samoan type genealogical guys, they're good Notre Dame fits. They're really family oriented, really respect oriented, leadership based, tight knit family, protect our own, workers mentality, tough guy mentality. There's a culture around those kind of guys that have really been pretty good at Notre Dame. And so I think it all lines up beautiful. I loved him getting into town in the snow, wearing his flip-flops around. Whatever, man. I love it. Let's go. Let's ride, baby. Let the hair flow and let's go.
He ain't afraid of the cold, so that is a good thing playing in South Bend, especially if we get that home December playoff game.
Oh, baby. What I don't want to happen is us to get a December playoff game and we have one of those warm week Decembers where it's not going to be a white Christmas. No. The heck with that. I need some winter weather for that one. Anything on the way out, man? Thank you for the call. We covered a lot of ground. Really good call this morning. Thank you.
Now I'll let you get to your other callers. Appreciate talking to you for a little bit. It's always fun.
Hey, man, I appreciate you. Dial me up again and again, man. I see I see Ohio on this phone call number. Make sure you represent us out there the best you can to keep some normalcy in Ohio. Represent us well, okay, brother?
Oh, I always do. Always do.
I appreciate that. And if you could make the drive for blue and gold, you'll have a home base, man. We're gonna throw a party. So if you make it over for that.
Oh, yeah. Real quick, where are you gonna be for that? Because I'm planning on coming.
We usually get there early in the main parking lot, like the main stadium lot, and I try and park in front of Frank because that's my guy, the statue of Frank, the Frank Leahy entrance, somewhere in the main stadium lot. It's all free parking, so you don't have to worry about a pass. Wherever you get in, you just go. So that's kind of usually the plan. Also, I have a huge flag. You can't miss it. So wherever I'm at, I got a 25-foot flag. You won't miss it.
All right, cool. Because I'm getting ready to call my connection at Notre Dame, see if I can get me a ticket real quick, actually.
There you go. Get you one. And even if you can't, I think they only cost like $10 or something. It's actually the most affordable thing they do over there, believe it or not. So Have a good one, man. Hopefully I see you there. Call me again.
All right. See you, John.
Have a good one. Oh, I like the energy today. I like the calls today. We're going to keep going. Let's see. Oh, man, I didn't mean to bring up this Bush push stuff. That 05 USC game was the only time I had tears in my eyes after an ND game. It was the emotional breakdown for me. I told you, I don't remember driving home. I don't remember driving home. If you remember my story, me and my dad already had tickets, but I slept overnight in the one game day ticket window to try and buy a couple to flip for profit, which I did, by the way. What was it? Bought 2 tickets for $150 total and flipped them for $1,500 in 1 minute. 1 minute. Flipped them for 15. They were like 75 each or whatever, and I flipped them for $1,500. It took 1 minute. It was beautiful. But because I was up all night, when you're sleeping in line on the sidewalk, you're not really sleeping. If you're me, there were people out there sawing logs like they're in their waterbed at home. When I say sleeping in the line, I mean laying there, guarding my spot, having anxiety like crazy because it's Notre Dame USC. So I was already exhausted. And then after that, I don't remember driving home. 2 hours, I was on autopilot. I have no recollection. I was a zombie. It wasn't from drinking. I was too nervous for that. I was straight-laced. It was a nightmare. It was a nightmare. Rudy's been out there before. Sleeping out there with you is an experience. Well, you know what happened? We had a big group of friends, and you know me. We get into town and I tell the friends, you guys go party, I'll guard the line. Go to a bar, go find a party or whatever, and I'll guard the line. So I was all worked up. Give me a break. Let me do a couple chats and then I'll go right back to the calls. We got a bunch of you. I want to address this. Jason, I think it's a myth that last year's schedule was a juggernaut, the worst Clemson team in a decade. Louisville should have never beat Notre Dame. Ohio State's an acceptable loss, but not 15 OSU. Andrew, see if you'll allow me to say this. And maybe you'll find a reason to say it. I'm kind of slacking on the question. You're trying to bend the question. What if I said the way that schedule put together is a big part of the reason it ended up being harder than it should have been for Notre Dame, meaning 8 weeks in a row with no break and no bye, meaning 4 weeks in a row where you're playing a night game under the lights against an undefeated team, 4 games in a row, some surprise teams that were better when you played them than you thought they would be. And so I just think the timing on last year's schedule was unfavorable. And I don't think you have that problem this year. I don't. Oh, boy. The tragedy about 05 is that Weiss didn't do anything with it. That's sort of story with modern ND. They have a ceiling. They can't build on great seasons. Hopefully Freeman changes that. I believe in 06. We were ranked number 2 starting the year in the AP poll, if I remember. And that team it just wasn't as good and it fell off. And I made the mistake of making sure I was at the Michigan game that year, all excited to see us. Oh, and what was it? Tip pass by Brady Quinn, pick 6, turnovers out the wazoo, and we get our brains beat in by Michigan at home in 06. Completely unacceptable. Disgraceful, actually. So, unbelievable. 469. What's going on, 469? I got a 773-419 coming up behind that. 469, what's good?
Lord John Kennedy of Always Irish, emissary to the cavalcade of Golden Domer fanatics who raise their voices in support of the Fighting Irish of Notre du Lac.
I like that. That sounds like official big voice guy. That sounds like really official big voice guy. Like that's like, before that's like every commercial being like, come down to Court Street Ford. I like it, man. That was really good. Really good.
Awesome. How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. I'm excited to be able to see some football again, and we are just trying to think and talk our way through what we're looking at here.
I was wanting to call in a number of times over the last couple weeks, and just not able to work it into my driving schedule, being out on the road, but finally able to make the time to call. Something I've had on my mind. I know you kind of started off. You were mentioning about spring ball, but there's something that's kind of been on my mind that I wanted to kind of address as far as the playoff. A lot of people have been talking about how they're upset that the regular season is going to be watered down. The regular season games aren't going to mean as much, and that kind of thing. And I really think it's the opposite. You're going to have more games for more of the season for more teams. They're going to matter. You've seen a whole lot of seasons where by the midpoint of the season, half the teams in college football, or even more than half the teams in college football, they're not playing for anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Other than, we're 8-4 again or whatever, and it's just the same typical thing. You know what I mean? But
yeah, you're right.
There's a little bit more excitement when a team they're already 7 games played. They only have 1 loss. That team, their fans and everything. It's like, hey, we're still in it to
Yep.
get a playoff spot.
Yep, you're
You know
right.
what I mean?
Yeah, you're right. It's going to extend the season for a lot of fans and a lot of teams. Last year, when we lost to Clemson, that was kind of the end of any like big picture goal we had. My numbers fell off a cliff the day after we lost to Clemson. People were like, I'm done. It's over. There's nothing left. Big picture goal. People checked out. You are right. This is going to extend the season and the hope for a lot of people. So that's good. But on the downside, you're giving up the feeling of every game literally matters for life and death. And that's why a lot of people love college footballs, because if you lose 1 or 2 games, you're done. So it's a give and a take. It's a balance.
But you're still going to have that because there are still teams, you know, if you're 2 losses, your third loss is going to be that, well, that's it. You're still going to have those do-or-die games. They're just, it's going to filter down to more teams than what you've had previously.
Yeah. Yeah. It's good, man. I think about this. I mean, I selfishly think about this in terms of the work I'm doing. Think about the expanded playoff. You're gaining like a month and a week of really important stuff to talk about that never existed before. Whether Notre Dame's in it or not, all those playoff game rounds are going to be really intriguing and everybody's going to care. Like, we're going to be getting a lot of extra college football run off all this. A lot.
Certainly.
So I don't know, man. What's top of mind? What are you most confident in? What are a couple things you might be worried about as we get into spring? Maybe that's a good question to ask. A little confidence and a little concern. What are you working at? What's on your mind?
The offensive line, I'm excited for the good young talent, but also concerned because of any of the positions. Offensive line is the one where experience and just that body development really, really makes a huge difference from looking at a younger player versus an older player, or just simply a number of games played. Other positions, you see it all the time where somebody comes in, with little or no experience, and they just kind of, they find their groove and, and run with it. But offensive line, it's a totally different thing right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep. And
those players also, the ability to gel and mesh. Now, I believe the team, they have the right culture in place. They have everything, set up to where the culture aspect, meshing and working as a unit shouldn't be a problem. But it's just the aspect of too many on the line. They're working with one season of experience or less kind of thing. You know what I mean? Yeah,
it's going to be a challenge. Here's my response to this. Development, offensive lines take time to gel, all that. I agree. Everybody, that's logical, and I agree. I don't expect them to be a finished product week 1. What I do need them to do is be good enough to win while they're working towards gelling. Like, nobody says just because you're gelling means it's okay to lose during the process. I need you to be good enough to win while you're not the finished product yet. That is the fairest I can put it. I need you to do enough to win while you're working towards offensive line self-actualization.
I do think that, at the same time, now I'm going to be talking out of both sides of my mouth here for a second. While it's a concern as far as that lack of experience and, the youth basically on the line, I do think that the talent base is high enough, meaning the worst player who should be on the starting offensive line, that lowest level player, their talent should be high enough that it makes up for that lack of experience. And I think what you're talking about, where, just be good enough that you're not the reason the games are lost kind of thing. I think that's where the talent comes in. And I think they'll be all right. And I also think that an experienced OC is going to help with that a lot too, because he's going to have a better grasp as far as, okay, how can we help out this inexperienced offensive line? How can we help out other, as the season rolls along, okay, we're having issues in this area or that area. How can we help mitigate those issues?
Yeah. Yep. I'm with you. I don't know, man. This is going to be a really interesting spring session. I think it needs to look and feel different. This is no longer trying to find your way and whatever. No. I think we need to have different goals this time. This is time to for it all to start coming together and forming together. This needs to be a little different spring with the urgency, not starting from ground zero, but working on higher level things. You have a terrific staff in place. People trust a lot more than what we're used to on both sides of the ball. I just think more is expected this time, and I think it's fair. So I hope we see some really competitive high-level spring football.
One thing I would like to see, Marcus Freeman, you've kind of seen that dynamic where he's the new young coach, and he kind of gets that, almost like the Sam Hartman treatment, where it's like, oh, he's so good looking and all this. And there's an aspect to him that people don't really necessarily talk a lot about. It's, he's got a real edge to him. You know what I mean? He's got a real competitive edge. More so than I think Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly, kind of had that, what do you call it? He'd get, fiery or whatever, but, it's just kind of different. Marcus Freeman, being a former player from not that long ago, it just feels like that competitive edge is just a bit different from what you usually see. And I'd like to see that come out more.
Yeah. I'd
like to see him
that's a good point.
More fired up, more kind of I guess maybe it's just something that isn't seen as far as fans and the media kind of thing. Because now they think about it, there have been some clips put out where you kind of see Marcus Freeman, kind of getting fired up like that. But I guess that's something I just like to see more of it in the public eye, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. And I think that's a part of his personal journey, figuring out how he wants to be and present, and how that, I think he's still trying to feel some of that out. And I think there is more of the getting after it behind the scenes than we see. And I'm glad that there's another side to it. So yeah, man, it's going to be a really big spring and big expectations next year. Anything else on the way out? Thanks for giving me a call on a Work It Out Wednesday.
Last thing is a parting shot. Notre Dame fans, we all need to remember that spring football really isn't going to show a whole lot. So temper expectations. And when we really don't see a whole lot, don't try to read into things more than what they are. Just enjoy it. It's another opportunity to see the team out there, running around or whatever, but it really doesn't amount to a whole lot of anything.
Yeah. Man, it's going to be interesting, dude. I don't know what to think about all this. There's a lot of pressure on Notre Dame this year. This has got to be a really good year, man. You're boxed in. You need to get in the playoff and win a playoff game. Period. It's the only good outcome here. It's the only outcome people are going to accept, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Man, I don't know. I'm starting to stress out over it myself, but that shouldn't surprise anybody. That shouldn't surprise anybody.
It's par for the course for you, right?
I know. If I'm not worrying, something's wrong. If I'm not worried about something, somebody check on me. Something went wrong.
Check your pulse or something, right?
Exactly. It's so I don't know, man. It's going to be really interesting. We have a long time until the actual A&M game. Hey, man, thanks for the call on a Wednesday. I appreciate you. Thank you.
All righty. Thanks for taking the call.
Oh,
Take care, okay?
no problem, man. Give me a call again. Nice guy. Thank you. Let's see. John, hearing you say ND people love the staff is so funny. It's the same staff BK had. Let's stop being delusional here. I mean, it's not that though. Am I not reading that right? It's not the exact same staff. 773. Tom, what's going on? Good morning, brother.
John, how's it going, pal?
It's going well. I know you've been waiting. Thank you. Thanks for giving me a call today. 419. I'll catch you next. Yeah. Oh, I'm sure you do. And I want to hear them, Tom. Let us know your spring list.
So here's the deal. I just I want to take a look at. First of all, I'm looking forward. You know, it just seems the last several times I tuned in, and it's just so much talk about things in the past. Can we let that hang? It's over with. We got to start looking toward the future. I'm overly optimistic about this year's team, and I'll tell you why. Look how the schedule sets up. I really like, last year was a train wreck. There's no question about it. But right off the bat, you got a test in College Station. Now, I don't know what's going to happen with Jimbo Fisher being gone. I know that they've got the best talent the state of Texas could afford down there, but you got to go win that game. And then you come home with Northern Illinois, and then we talk about Purdue. Purdue's been kind of on your radar. Let me explain something to you. I think we should make a road trip to Purdue. Have you been to Ross-Age Stadium?
No, I have never been. Nope.
I've been there. Of all the Notre Dame games I've gone to, I've seen probably 50 or 60 Notre Dame road games, and the most places I've gone is Purdue because they played them every other year. Yeah, Ross-Age is a great trip, especially from the Chicago area.
Yeah.
It's easy peasy lemon squeezy. It's in and out. And I'll tell you, tickets are easy to get there. Maybe instead of, maybe we take the Always Irish Roadshow to Purdue.
Oh, man. Fun. Oh, Tom, man, I like that. That's ballsy. We're coming into enemy territory here with an Always Irish crew. I like that. We just barrel right into town, and it doesn't matter if it's West Lafayette or South Bend. We're taking it over. I like it.
And I'll tell you,
I like it.
It's usually the network of Purdue tickets, just like Notre Dame tickets in Chicago, is pretty strong. So we've got tentacles. I mean, I've run bus deals down there. You have 36 people on a bus to go down to the game, but it is a good way to. Now, again, it's all going to come down to timing. So that's a road game. Who's going to get that? Is that going to be an ABC, ESPN, and are they going to make that a noon game? We got to look at the timing of everything. But once the times come out, it'll be fine. Then we got to look at Miami of Ohio. Are you picking it? Are you going to have a game at Notre Dame Stadium? Are you doing Miami of Ohio this year?
Yep. That's the one.
Your game circled.
Yep, that's the one we're going to be at. Tom, you got to understand, I would not be able to throw a proper tailgate party for a big game because I'll just be a mess. I will be a total mess, not myself. I'll be pacing. I'll be pacing around, like being all weird in my own brain, and I don't need that. So I pick a lower level opponent in hopefully good weather to clear my mind a little bit.
Oh yeah, I listen. I totally get that, but I tell you what we can do is. We show up there, but going down the schedule, as we pragmatically look at it, then we've got the rematch with Louisville.
which thank God is at home the following week.
Yep.
They should be well tuned up for Louisville.
Yeah.
And Notre Dame is going to have to come out and pound their ass for retribution for last year.
Yep.
That was a terrible night to be down there. I hats off to Louisville. They played their hearts out, but that circle. Then we get a bye week. It's a perfectly positioned bye week to get ready for the Stanford Indian to come in, or the Cardinals, I should say. And then the road trip down to Georgia Tech, which is not being played at their stadium on campus. They're putting it in the Mercedes-Benz stadium, which is good because that's actually a snake pit. I've been to Georgia Tech, and they hate us down there. And then we're going to back to traditional rivals. Like, so Purdue, traditional rival, Navy, traditional rival, Georgia Tech, traditional rival, Florida State. And then, the Army fill-in. I think this is, at worst case scenario, is 11-1.
Yeah. Man.
And I think they get to 11-1 by having a solidified coaching staff. Everybody knows what they're doing now. There's, you've got a hybrid of what Kelly had left over with Denbrock. But here, look, the defense is already taking care of itself without Golden. Boy, I'm so happy he stayed.
Yeah.
Now we just have to have Denbrock find that spread offense, find our best dual threat quarterback, because I'm so excited about the twitchiness of a Jadanian Price. And looking at Jeremiah Love and the Aeneas Williams kid, the freshman that's coming in. I mean, we got a bevy of backs. Please, God, I hope they stay healthy.
Yeah.
And then,
Tom, here's the issue, though. Here's the issue, though. A lot of us are looking at that 11-1. It all depends on week one. That's the issue with leaning on 11-1 as being what you think for the whole year. If you lose your first game, you're really hanging yourself out to dry on 11-1 then, because it means you're going on an 11 game winning streak. I don't want to over dramatize week one, but look at it. It's huge again.
Well, here's the deal.
It's huge.
Notre Dame fans are used to that, especially of my age. When we opened up with Michigan at home or on the road, when that actually meant more because of the polls and bowls back then. Now we got a clear pathway to get to a playoff. I'm tired of worrying about all. Just go win the games. One, and it's easier said than done. I know, but the focus on all this conference realignment and where are they going? Who cares? Just win enough games, and the polls and bowls will take care of themselves. Lou Holtz said that year in, year out, and he was right. And it still applies today. I think they got a good shot at going 11-1. I really do.
Yeah, and man, that would position you beautifully, and then you would be in there to be able to, get yourself that own playoff game, and then we're kind of, we're ready to go. And so I don't know.
I think it kind of, the way I look at the schedule, I this morning before the call, before your show started, I did a deeper dive and I just wanted to look, and it's kind of exciting because I'm going to take some road trips this year with the help of God. And if I get some good health, look, they're playing in Yankee Stadium again.
Yeah.
I made that trip in 2010. That was fantastic.
Just leave the baseball pants to the Yankees, though, this time, please. I please.
Oh, no. They in 2010 they wore the regular Notre Dame uniform.
Yeah, leave the. I couldn't believe that, Tom. I'm like, if you look at, if you look at two of the most historically respected standalone uniforms that are recognizable in all of sports, we ruined two of them in one day. We ruined two of them in one day. We ruined the Notre Dame one and we ruined the Yankees one. I couldn't believe it. They found a way to ruin two of the most classic of all time.
There's nothing I can do about that.
Come on.
We're just out of curiosity, so did they make the Shamrock Series game, the Yankee Stadium game yet?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. And they're doing a throwback,
Okay.
and
Right.
it's
Well,
the
then,
100-year anniversary of the Four Horsemen and Army and the whole thing. So
Right.
that's what the theme
All
is.
signed against the blue-gray October sky.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Rattling Rice. Yes. So here, I think, if we circle a couple of those games, we could have a watch party. We're going to have a blue gold party. We could take a Purdue road trip if you're so inclined. And, that might give others the chance that don't normally get a chance to go to a Notre Dame game. The tickets are easy peasy at Ross.
Man, that's interesting. It's just I don't even know where to park, where to go. So I would need some guidance on that. Maybe we do need to take a trip from Chicago, man.
You park on the golf course. There's a golf course right next to it. It's set up pretty much like the way Ann Arbor in Michigan was, where you've got the big blacked out parking, then there's a golf course, and it's easy in, easy out, right? And there's a back road to 65, and you're out of there in no time.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, let's keep in touch
food for
on that. Keep in touch on that. It's an interesting angle there. And then that would mean Purdue one week and then back home for the tailgate party the next. I like it. I like that.
Yeah. And then that way you can cover a lot of bases that way with meeting other people and other people that don't normally get a chance to get down to Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Maybe this gives them a choice, so.
Yeah, man.
Food for thought.
It's going to be,
it's always
interesting,
it's
man.
always good to do this.
This is a big year.
Well, yeah. And that's why I kind of like Purdue. And I know it doesn't fall on a lot of people's radars, but you got to remember, I started watching Notre Dame in 1971. I mean, when I can really remember. And Purdue they called them the Spoilermakers, and they weren't called the Spoilermakers for nothing. They ruined Notre Dame's seasons a few times. They won some big games in the late 60s and early 70s, all the way into the early 80s. And then they took it all the way to Drew Pine. So there is a rivalry there. Did they fall to the lower levels of the Big Ten? Yes, they did. But so did a lot of other teams. I think you got to play. You got to play you got to play the schedule we play, and then hopefully, I mean, it's not. They're a better opponent than some of the teams that Alabama and LSU play on their cupcake schedule.
Yeah,
when they not a cupcake schedule, when they sign up a cupcake. So it's I'll take it, and they beat Purdue, and that game's going to count at the end of the year. That's the thing that I just want to focus on.
Yeah, man.
So does Miami of Ohio. So does Northern Illinois. I don't like the schedule. It sucks. But hey, this is what we've got this year. Let's just win, take advantage of it, win the games, and then show up to the dance and say, "How do you like me now?"
Yep. Man, that's the idea. And it's got to be, man. Everything's pointing in that direction. The expectations are justifiably raising, and there's a lot to prove. And it's going to be a big year. And so I don't know, Tom, there's a lot to look for. So this spring's going to be really, really interesting. Can't wait to get it going. Anything else, my friend? Thanks for the call. Hope you're feeling okay.
Yeah. I'm getting out of the hospital tomorrow, so everything's being okay. And things are pointing up. So I'm delighted and just looking forward to the spring game. Like the earlier caller said, I'm not too overly optimistic about that. I just want to see the right bodies in the right spots.
Yeah.
Getting into the right positions. And then that just tells you, that they're well coached enough, and it's going to be exciting.
Oh, man. Yeah.
I haven't been this excited about a Notre Dame season in a long time. I've just given up and said, okay, what have we got on the roster right now? Are there good problems? And I think the quarterback room is a good problem to have. Let a professional like Denbrock sort this thing out.
Yeah.
And let's go.
Yep. There we go. Ball. There we go. Tom, glad you're starting to feel better, brother. We'll talk off the air too.
All right.
Take care. Have a good one.
Thanks for taking my call.
Oh, no problem. Always good to hear from you, man. Always good to hear from you. My man Martinez, $5 alley. He's right. Move towards the future. Everybody looking at the future. Tom is a good man, battling some health stuff, been stuck for a while in a tough spot. Accept the facts, John. Purdue needs to be higher on your list this season. Whatever. God, I don't have an unlimited amount of vitriol. I have to parse it out where I need to. And Purdue's not on that list a lot. It's not an offense. If we played them every year, it'd be different. If when we played them, they beat us a lot of times, it'd be different. If they were elite and we did or didn't play them, that would be different. None of those apply to Purdue. I just have a limited amount of care I could give Purdue for a million reasons. They're not elite. We don't play them all the time. They haven't beaten us a lot lately. What else do you need? How much do I need to care about a team that's the details? Give me a break. I'm not crapping on them. They just don't matter a lot. I realize that sounds funny to say. I'm not crapping on them, but they don't matter enough. Here's the thing, man. People talking about A&M. I did an old show on this. I saved because I didn't know where I was going to publish it. Now I'm going to use it. The old debate is when I get worked up about A&M, people, settle down. They're not that good. Look at all the transfers they had to get to fill up their roster. They're not that good. John, you're building up. I get this a lot now. You're building up Texas A&M into something they're not and all this stuff. I get that all the time. Here's my question. My question is, Pat, what's going on? Where were you? We missed you. Welcome back, Pat. Here's my point. You don't have to think A&M is elite at football to highlight what a big, important moment it is for Notre Dame that they can't screw up. Those are not the same, but they're in the same neighborhood. Are you following me? I don't think they need to be a top 10 ranked team for me to look at that moment as being a huge darn deal. It's about the moment more than it is almost the talent. Right? You're scared to fail, Chief says. Well, what? Bro, Chief, can you provide any practical, tangible reason other than blind hope that I should trust Notre Dame football in a big moment? Can you tell me that? Why? Why? You're scared. Who wouldn't be scared if you're a Notre Dame fan heading into a big game? They have not proven to handle that moment my entire life. So you got to tell me that's not what I'm saying. Well, then I don't know. Am I scared of Notre Dame in a big game? Well, since they've lost everyone for the last 30 years, yeah, I kind of am. Is that wrong of me? Or am I just supposed to blindly hope this year's different because I want it to be? Bro, you got to prove it. You got to prove it. That's not what I'm saying. Ah, man, then he's not the guy. So all of it comes down to one game. I don't know. It's a big moment, but I can't say one game is that. It's just rough. Oh boy, Pat's going to be at the Purdue game. Look at this. Now we got something cooking for 2 weeks in a row. Partying at the Purdue Notre Dame game, and then we have our tailgate back home the next week. Ooh, doggy. This is going to be a problem. This is going to be an issue. All right, I need to take a little break. We're going to run our little promo here from Tom, and then we'll finish up on a couple calls on the back end. It's good to have Tom in the mix here, man. I'm glad you're feeling better. In today's digital age, seamless and secure transactions aren't just a luxury. They're an absolute necessity. That's where Paisley comes in, completely revolutionizing the way businesses handle payments. Whether you're a startup or an established large enterprise, Paisley's cutting-edge payment solutions are designed to propel your business forward. Imagine transactions so smooth your customers barely have to lift a finger. With Paisley, that is your new reality. Our platform offers an array of features from instant processing to ironclad security, ensuring every transaction is not just a transaction, but rather a step towards building long-lasting customer loyalty. Why choose Paisley? We're not just another payment processor. We are your partner in growth, dedicated to providing personalized service that understands and meets your unique business needs. The platform's intuitive, our fees are transparent, and the support team is unmatched and unrivaled. So to all the entrepreneurs, innovators, and dreamers out there looking to elevate their business's payment game, Paisley is the answer. We're more than a platform. We are a movement towards a frictionless financial future. Ready to join us? Visit paisley.com to learn more or contact Always Irish famous caller Tom Frawley, Chicago's very own, for a personalized Paisley consultation. You can reach Tom at 773-332-7742 or tom@paisleypartners.com, and be sure to mention Always Irish sent you. Oh, I like that. We got it for you, Tom. I like that, man. It's good doing business with Tom. And I like how people are noticing the little thing. Nice little cha-ching you added in there. We got it all covered, man. Happy to do it. Happy to partner with Tom on that. And now Paisley's in people's minds. They just like saying the word. Oh, it's good to work with people that you could trust. 419, you're up on the line. What's going on?
Oh, not a whole lot. Tom's call got me really optimistic and excited. And I'll make it quick, and then I'll tell you why I'm depressed and why I'm worried.
I like it. Yeah, we're shooting all over. That's a good balance. Let me have it.
Yeah, the 14-team proposal, I think, is much to do about nothing, because as long as we're guaranteed a spot, if we're in the top 14, it's really nothing to worry about. It's just kind of dumb that they're adding 2 additional teams. I don't think there's really 12 teams that can win a title, let alone 14, but it's kind of like the Big Ten and SEC are throwing a party. They're picking who's coming, and their mom is making them invite Notre Dame, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then the depressing is watching the NFL draft coverage and remembering all the skill position players we used to have, the quarterbacks, receivers, and running backs, and this long-ass drought that we've got.
Yeah. How do you feel?
Late round guys.
Do you want me to make you feel worse about it while we're doing this? All right. I'll do it. Notre Dame had 8 guys at the combine. Michigan, 18. 10 more than Notre Dame. So if you wanted to feel worse about that, then you could look at their 18 to our 8. And then you could say they don't even recruit elitely. So what is going on? Right. But that's where we're at.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then all of our guys are always, late round, or if they're early, they're, linemen. And if they are early, like Kaiser, Claypool, or Boykin, they're not even in the league anymore.
Yeah. It's a good question. Dude, I've thought about it too. When you look at the guys Notre Dame puts in the league, but then we don't win anything as a team with them at Notre Dame, then it makes me always wonder if it's just we're putting guys in the league, but not at the positions that move the needle to be good in college, I guess, is what I'm getting at. I don't know any other way to look at it, because we never win anything.
Yeah, it's no wonder. And every year, come draft time, you're like, well, yeah, no wonder. And then for for being worried. Like a lot of people have been saying, it's the quarterback and receiver for all the obvious reasons. You look at, who we're depending on at receiver, and it's unproven, or their body work is so minimal that it's not a sure thing. We got a quarterback coming off 3 touchdowns last year, new receivers coach, new OC. I feel like there's a lot that can go bad within that mixture of things. And
yeah. Yeah, I think there's caution. There's cautious optimism, and there's a lot of reasons to believe this is all going to be better and trend in the right direction and is looking that way. There is. But until it happens, it doesn't happen. And Notre Dame has a history of letting us down in these type of moments. It's perfectly fair to have these concerns.
Right. And I think they're not going to be asked to do a whole lot with the defense they have, but it's those couple big games when, it's going to be really up to them to score points and not pull a Parker.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah. And man, I could see this all coming together. I could see more stability in the foundation with on the offense and the defense and the coaching there. And you have a pretty good blend of younger guys and older guys on the roster. Like, it just all needs to start coming together. You need to feel and look at this and be like, okay, we're trending somewhere new. This looks different. Like, I need to feel that. It's year 3 and you have a lot of these elements in place. We need to move this along here. Let's go.
Yeah, I know it's, like the spring game, we're not going to see anything, but
right.
I'm still going to overreact and freak out.
How do you react to this, Mark? Let me read this to you. I think Texas A&M game goes very well for us, or it goes very wrong. No in between and close game. It's going to be one way or the other. History points the arrow at that outcome. Man, that's like, I could see that though, where Notre Dame's like on fire and Elko and it's year 1 and they're a mess. I could also see a scenario where Notre Dame walks into a buzzsaw in the August heat and makes a couple mistakes and that place gets loud and then it snowballs on you. It just can't be that. We've already done that a million. It can't be that. We can't do it.
Yeah, that's the thing about college football. It's like you just never know, especially in an environment like that. SEC stadium, crazier things have happened. And in closing, I guess next month they're voting on all these new changes, the 2-minute warning and the helmet radios and tablets.
And Mark, you know what that is. The 2-minute warning one is really, really funny. All that is code for is extra commercial break. That's what that means. When I saw that, that's all that means. Extra commercial break. It's all about money. None of this is about the sport or the game flow. It's about how do we squeeze more money, and you add that to squeeze more money, period. That's a TV construct.
Yeah, it's just how everything's going. They're expanding the playoffs. The players are getting paid. 2-minute warning. Like, what are they going to get 2 feet in bounds now? Is it just everything just going to turn to professional? Just, I don't know. I'm tired of all the changes, and it's constantly these meetings and proposals and rule changes. It's like, leave well enough alone. Everybody loves college football.
Yep. And we're all going to watch no matter what. I know I am. But dude, this is a big year. It's a big year for Freeman. Everybody, all the fans are on edge. I feel the increased pressure. I feel the frustration of the last couple years bubbling over. People are ready for a different result. And there's practical markers that indicate we're trending in that direction. That's the other thing. The hope that anybody has now, there are legitimate reasons to hold that hope that things could be different. But until you do it, you don't do it.
Yeah, I'm excited. And I'm looking forward to you putting out your tailgate map that you did last year, that high quality product.
Oh yeah, baby. Yeah, I'll put that out. Yeah, I just
Where are you going to set up?
yeah, we're gonna do that, and it's gonna be a high class operation as always, Mark. You know that.
Yeah. Looking forward to it. Thanks for taking my call.
Beautiful, man. Have a good one. Take care. You guys have to understand that's his thing. The vibe where you're like, he's like half asleep, or why does he sound depressed? Like, you got to understand that's the bit. That's his thing. It just doesn't change. It's Mark with glasses. That's his thing. I don't know any other way to say it. It just works. If you met him, you would be like, his screen name everywhere is Mark with glasses. And when you meet him, you're like, yep, that's a Mark with glasses. I don't know how to explain it. It just works. It just works. My thing with the A&M game is you don't have to think they're a great team for this to be like a huge moment. Does that make sense? It doesn't. They don't have to be elite or a great roster for me to think that moment is huge. Don't get that mixed up in your head. I can say they're not elite, and this is a huge game for Notre Dame. People are getting that mixed up. So, I don't know. I don't know. It's a little rough. All right. Oh, boy. Okay. That's going to be it, folks. I got a couple things I need to do, and then I have a meeting with Goolsby about something else, and then I have somewhere I got to go. Thanks for all the donations. Tony dropping in here, maybe still in Florida. Tom, Chris, see you guys soon at Blue and Gold. Eric, my lawyer up in Michigan, I really appreciate you. Andrew Gilmore, I appreciate that too with the question about the extension. Good to see you around. Again, everybody, thank you very much for being here. This was fun. We're going to have, we'll have an episode tomorrow about what we're looking at as far as spring. Some of the things that I'm looking at specifically that I want to see. Really energetic episode, fun episode. I can feel the energy building as we're getting close to football and I have spring ball going on. People are getting re-engaged, and it's really, really good to have more people in the mix. We're getting new people too. We're finding a little bit of a different offseason crowd. There's some different names in here. That's good. That's healthy. I like having that going on. And Crying Belly's here. It's always good to have our regulars too, even if they don't like me or all they do is take shots at me. Oh man. Yes, John, I get it. Right. Teams that are not all great, but the moment's big. And then I'm not trying to say they're great. I'm saying that the moment is big. Those are different. Anyways. Oh, and I didn't do my fun thing either. We'll do that on Friday. Maybe that's a good Friday thing for me to do the fun thing. Somebody remind me that. Tom, great show, partially because you called, and we're all glad you're feeling better, and me and you are doing some business, baby. I like it. Stay healthy, everybody.